This is Fantology.
You may have heard of us.
Day 2, and here we go. Day 2 is a challenging one to rank characters because there was a lot going on, a lot of moving parts, a lot of characters getting brief moments. But for number 1 on the power rankings, I'm going with Odium, Taravangian Odium, because every other character, while a lot of characters did a lot of positive things, everyone else had some kind of at least minor flaw in their performance on the second day, and Odium did not, because his plan has gone off to perfection so far. Although, Wit did discover, but come on, that was just a matter of time. And his new plan with the 3 different offensives and finding the loophole in the contract and everything is sending everyone else scrambling. They have no idea what to do for a while. This seems really good for Odium. Right now, he's in the best situation out of any character. Number 2 is Todium's main issue, which is Dalinar, our bondsmith. He does a really good job of picking up the pieces here, and his coalition comes together very quickly, comes up with seems like a pretty good plan, at least as far as we know for now. They have clearly been led really well, where there's, a lot of good cooperation, and with very, very, very high emotional stakes, we're able to come up with something that seems like it has, a semblance of a plan. Seems like it could very much work here. And he's also got a whole different thing with his own personal plan in the spiritual realm. So he accomplishes a heck of a lot here on the second day, despite being surprised with some really bad news. The only bad thing, and the reason why he's not number 1, is he continues to not manage his relationship with Adolin very well, especially as it seems like everyone's kind of facing down death's door here. You would hope to see a father like this, find a way to embrace his son and get over some past issues, but no. So that's, a fairly substantial negative for Dalinar. Number 3 is Shallan for doing a heck of a lot. She was number 1 on the day 1 power rankings, number 3 here, so I think she's the leader in the clubhouse thus far. In day 2, we follow her narrative for most of the time, where with the Unseen Court, she follows the Ghostbloods around for a while, then she infiltrates the Ghostbloods, she finds out their plan. Unfortunately, she gets discovered, so negative there. But even upon being discovered, she's able to counteract what could have been a really big negative if that anti-light crossbow bolt hit her. It did not, it did hit her, but it didn't, do anything too bad. She's able to recover from that. Mraize and Yatil do get away, and then she tracks them to the spiritual realm. Unfortunately, they trick her again, and then Shallan's crew wins the fight, but then unfortunately Mraize blows up the perpendicularity. So a lot of ups and downs for Shallan. Ultimately, I think she did pretty well, and she was able to scramble and pick up the pieces to her plan, which was really very much on the fly. Now she's in the spiritual realm as well. We'll see where it goes from there, but thus far she's done pretty well through the first 2 days. Number 4, Navani, for what seems like a lot of kind of background stuff. We get a few hints of it with her meetings with Sebarial and Aladar and Rushu, but it seems like she's doing a pretty dang good job of organizing Urithiru, organizing, the semblance of civilization here that exists in the tower. And, if I'm going to put my money on any leader going forward, I trust Navani most of all. She's doing an amazing job of architecting everything and holding things together. She doesn't get a whole lot of time in the spotlight here, but she does volunteer to go to the spiritual realm. And I think that shows a lot about her character. She's willing to stand by Dalinar, even if she doesn't fully understand what's going on. So I'm hoping for, big character moments from her later on in the next 10 days. Because, we don't really get any big flashy stuff, but I think it's coming. And then number 5, we just get one interlude, but it's going to be El, because he finds himself in an amazing position now, the favored of all of Todium's lieutenants. He kills Jezrien, or the remnants of Jezrien, and then has, some deal with the Blackfisher, or the Nightfisher. What is it? The Blackfisher. The Blackfisher, this Unmade, that we haven't really seen yet other than a few mentions. And we'll see where he goes over there doing something problematic in the Shattered Plains. But it seems like El is a big problem. We got some hints of this in the Rhythm of War. And I'm excited to... I'm ending every character description with I'm excited for what comes next. But that is very much the truth after day 2. Swapping gears over to bottom characters, let's start from number 5. The least worst is going to be Gavinor. Mostly because of, sadness and vibes, and nothing's really going well for this kid. And then he gets sucked into the perpendicularity on his own, and oh man, this doesn't seem like a great future for him. There's a big theory around him, which I don't want to discuss here, but it seems like this could be the mechanism to make that possible. and I have not really liked this theory, but it seems like it's possible if Sanderson does this right that it could work out. Number 4, another kid/teenager, Yonaghan, who I guess has some moments, but mostly is present in the big meeting and doesn't really contribute anything positive. Just kind of mopes around and pines for the Azimir and doesn't really offer anything positive other than like, save my country, you're not giving me enough support. It's like, dude, like read the room, understand that there's a lot of people with more experience that are trying to do what they can. They're not just going to leave you. Like, have some faith in our leaders here. But instead of doing anything positive, all he does is whine and mope. And I guess he kind of gets what he wants, where they are supporting Azimir enough. But yeah, Yonaghan, like, come on, man. I mean, I know you're a new monarch as of 2 years, right? But like, not a strong leader. Number 3 on the bottom rankings is Wit, because this is like the first time that I've really seen Wit completely outsmarted and fooled and trying to figure out what to do next. He does figure it out, I guess. So really this is like a carryover from his performance at the end of Rhythm of War. But this is where we really see it. And I mean, after this, he interrupts the meeting and I guess gives everyone a lot of knowledge. And it's interesting. It's nice to, as the reader, to like get all this knowledge and lore like fully confirmed. But on the other hand, you get a sense that he is giving out a lot more information than he usually does, a lot more than he would have volunteered on his own if not for the situation. So clearly he's in a bad spot, a spot he doesn't want to be in, and a spot that's going to land him on number 3 in the bottom of the power rankings. Number 2, Stormfather, for similar reasons. He's in a bad spot. He doesn't want to be here. He gets in this argument with Dalinar. He just acts really childish. He's given away more information than he usually does. It seems like he's forced by Dalinar into now having to go along for the ride, and he doesn't want to, have to possibly let someone else take up Honor's power for reasons that I guess we'll get more of. Stormfather is just very annoying, very contradictory, not someone we enjoy reading right now, so number 2. And then number 1, someone who I think is like possibly actively working against the coalition, maybe even, is the Mink, who, number 1, is very heartless with the way that he is trying to negotiate how they're going to protect Azimir, right? I mean, as someone who has his own small country, well, yeah, I guess Azimir is not a small country, but he wants to protect her dads, ultimately. Like, that's what he's trying to protect, kind of like vibes of Taravangian with Kharbranth. But then after being very heartless in the negotiations, then he flips it around and puts Dalinar in a bad spot and says, actually, like, I know all of this impending doom is happening and we're stretched super thin, but you need to swear an oath to me right now to protect my country. It's like, dude, I mean, you know that Dalinar's probably going to do this because he's Dalinar and you're putting him in this spot, but this is just really weak. Like, come on, man. Every other country needs this kind of support. I know we want to try to, but at what cost are you willing to? You're basically saying, I don't care about anything else. I'm willing to sacrifice every other nation. I'm willing to sacrifice for, Odium winning in order for her dads to be saved. And isn't this exactly what Taravangian has decided to do with Odium? So I'm very concerned about this, and I don't know if I'm going to go there to say that I think that the Mink is possibly a embedded agent adversary. That seems like a little bit of a stretch because none of that has been foreshadowed, but it really seems like he's acting that way. Okay, rapid fire plot points. The biggest thing is we get the news of the 3 offensives towards Thaylen City, towards Azimir, and towards the Shattered Plains. This seems to be, it's going to be, the bulk of the rest of the days. It's going to go right up probably till the deadline to see who controls each of this. I think this sounds really exciting. Oh, I forgot to mention, I was going to do a asterisk special mention in the top 5 rankings. I can't give one to Brandon Sanderson because he is not actually a character in the book. But I loved chapter 14, especially the one where no one was awake and we bounced around and had this like parallel structure. I think that was fantastic. Maybe one of the best chapters that Brandon has written. And I think he's doing an excellent job of juggling all these plot points that I'm going to mention here in rapid fire. Number 2 plot point, there's a lot of plot points. I haven't really ordered these, but Dalinar speaks with cultivation, gets a lot of knowledge about the spiritual realm. Honor's death is apparently very important. We're going to get into this. He's maybe going to take up the Shard of Honor. Bum. I think that, like, all of these things that are hinted at seem like they're very much going to happen in some degree. We get a long extended part with the Unseen Court and the Ghostbloods, where we learn that Shallan's armor spren can't be shared around. I thought that part was kind of funny. Mraize and Yatil are able to escape into the spiritual realm. Sha-Anat appears. Sha-Anat, another piece that just kind of pops up every now and then. Will we get a full resolution with this Unmade? I don't know. Anti-Stormlight and Voidlight, clearly this is going to be a big weapon, kind of a nuclear level weapon that could pop up every now and then. The Ghostbloods themselves have Corrupted Spren, and they're able to do some kind of Corrupted Else Calling, which is really interesting. I don't think we've seen Corrupted Ink Spren for Else Callers as of yet. We've seen Corrupted Truth Spren, or I don't remember all the name, but we've seen Corrupted Truth Watchers, and obviously the Will Shapers, but Else Callers as well. Interesting. I'm not sure how many different Spren are willing to be corrupted. And then the Infiltration is discovered. Shallan is shot. They escape, and then the perpendicularity explodes. And that's kind of the bum. This day is ending with a big bang, and we'll see what happens when the pieces are picked up in day 3. I'm assuming day 3. I don't know. Maybe some time elapses there. Adolin and Yanagon have a budding friendship, and then Adolin has a budding not friendship with Dalinar, who he's very upset at, and I think this is well done. Like, this has been brewing for a while, and these types of relationships, it's rough, it's really hard to communicate with. This is well done. Wit has this big realization with the loophole that he realizes that Odium is dead. He's not sure who could possibly be the new Odium. I think he'll figure it out. I don't know. I feel like this is very much something that you could figure out. It's kind of it's not that much of a leap, but it also takes a lot of, there's not any clues there other than the way that Odium is acting. But I think eventually something will happen and they'll realize it's Taravangian. Kaladin and Szeth, haven't talked about them at all. They have they make it to Shinovar. Kaladin has some funny moments trying to understand the plants. He can't. He tries to start therapy with Szeth. It goes poorly. He tries to cook soup. It goes poorly. He tries to play the flute. It goes poorly. Maybe Kaladin should have been on the bottom rankings as well. And then Kaladin also gets some information from Szeth about the backstory. We get, just the beginnings, just the establishing of the characters, really, and what's going on here in Shinovar. Sigzil is mentioned. He's got big-time imposter syndrome, but he's going to be leading the offensive over there in the Shattered Plains. So I imagine we're getting a lot of Sigzil, and that Shattered Plains fight will be pretty cool. And then the sibling gets some playing time, some time on screen. The sibling, I think the biggest thing that it does, or they do, is gives us the knowledge about the wind, the night, and the stone, are the 3 big primordial gods that were once responsible for the bonds before even the Spren that have now taken up the powers of these gods. I think this is really cool. If you read Malazan, this is how the Malazan gods work, and as era and millennia passes, the god power transfers from thing to thing as people lose sight of who the gods are. Really cool stuff. I love this type of thing. Lift is also a character. I don't love Lift. She hangs out with Gavinor for a while, and Gavinor falls into the perpendicularity. Lift is not able to stop him from doing that. Maybe also a bottom character candidate. And then Wit and Lift are in charge of now covering up this big problem with our 2 Bondsmith leaders being gone. And then last plot point to mention is Rlain and Renarin talk about their budding relationship, which is fun and happy for them. It seems like it's going well. And then Rlain enters into one of Renarin's visions, and we get a few ominous things that I don't know how to interpret other than Baido Mishram's face showing up and her continuing to be very scary.